Just to add some pressure for you.
That's my kind of love to everybody. You guys have to work. So it's on the first page of the, give you a hint, it starts with the word S.I. Bardell.
And I'm just not sharing yet to see if anyone knows it, but I'm going to put up now. I think I'm in the right place.
Yep.
If nope, I had it, but no, I don't.
Sich it wumⱡaqqu mitit nufku natanik kcha ukin mietni.
Good. Perfect. So Mordell, you'll probably have to practice your
Yeah,
Yeah.
clear your throat.
I tend to go like a hard.
Yeah. Good. Good, good, good. Okay, so welcome to week wumⱡaqqu, week 11, our second last session on this 12-week course. So tonight we're going to again do the Ktunaxa sounds, vocal exercises, review number 71 to 80, and then the new numbers 81 to 90, review animals and lunchtime foods and more. And I think Mara has added in a few things. What she's been doing, from what I can understand, is adding in all the questions you guys have had throughout the sessions, and she's been adding them into the slides as we go along. So, and one question I was going to, because with my other group, with my Tuesday night group, I usually have Sophie Pierre. She pops in once in a while to listen to what's going on with the language. And I was wondering if this group would, if I invited her to next week, being our last week, for her just to sit and listen to see the progress, because I use her as my how do you say, the one that evaluates like my own personal progress for, and with Mara here with that, she would evaluate this program. So if that's okay, I would invite her next week.
We're off next week though, so it would be the 20 or the last Monday of the month.
Okay. I'll have to change that on my calendar then. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, we'll do again the same as I wasn't here last week because I was on the road trying to get home. But so let's all say it again together so I can listen. Cha, chi, cho.
Chi, chu,
Ha,
ka, hi,
Chu,
ka, ki, ku,
a,
ka, ki,
ki,
ku,
hu,
ka, ki,
ka, fi, fu,
ku,
da,
da,
li,
le, lu,
ma,
ma,
ni,
ne,
mu,
mu,
ma,
ma,
re, mu,
mu,
na,
ne,
ni,
nu,
na,
Na,
ni,
ne,
nu,
nu,
pa,
pa,
e,
e,
pu,
pu,
pa,
pa,
e,
ki,
o,
ku,
ka,
ka,
ki,
ke, gu,
ka,
ka, ki,
ke,
ku,
ku,
sa,
sa,
si,
se,
su,
ka,
ka,
e,
ke,
ku,
su,
ka,
ka,
ki,
ke,
ku,
wa,
wa,
we,
we,
u,
wu,
ha,
ha,
he,
he,
hu,
ho,
ya,
ya, ye,
he, yu.
hu.
Okay, good. Um, I was one behind everybody, so I was listening to the sounds and you guys were getting all the wrong sounds, but that was me. I was one behind where you guys were on the ka, ke, ko. I was looking at ka, ke, ko. So when I heard ka, ke, ko, and I'm thinking, okay, that's not right, but that was my fault. That's pretty good. Um, the ha, he, ho, if in order to get that sound, you can just practice sounding like a crow, like ha ha. I always say that the crow and the chickadee are bilingual because when you ask a Ktunaxa person what is a chickadee sound, Ktunaxa speaker would say mit ka ka kas, mit ka ka kas. And you ask an English speaking person what is a chickadee sound, and they say chickadee dee dee, chickadee dee dee. So then the same as the crow, we say ha ha ha, and English speakers say the crow says caw caw caw. So that's just more useless information for you. Okay, we'll go to the next. Oh yeah, we are here. Okay, let's go with saying pa and then papa. P Pichak. Okay, go ahead.
pa,
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 Papa,
pe,
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 chak,
pu,
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 putuk,
ka,
ka,
kaya,
kaya,
kagu,
kaku,
ki,
ke,
pagi,
wake,
ku,
ku, kuken,
kuken, ka,
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 kamek,
kaken,
ki,
ke,
u,
spuke,
ku,
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 kuyu,
sa,
sa,
sawa,
wasku,
se,
se,
sin,
sena,
su,
su,
tukisni,
sugithnik, yes,
sa,
ka,
dan, ti,
te, tutu,
tu,
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 ta,
ta,
tahi,
tahluk,
tin,
te,
tinamu,
tinamu,
tu,
tu,
tukuhu,
tuhanek,
wa,
wa, wahnikit,
we,
we, vekinuhus, u,
wa,
wat,
ha,
ha,
kape,
he,
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 hena,
na,
u,
hu,
Ktunaxa.
Ya.
Ya.
Yaksunis.
Ye. Yit.
Ye.
You.
Yuk.
Si.
Good. The one weakness I saw was the hard Q. So remember, you start off with the word gullible or seagull, buh, and then gull, buh, buh, and then just try to write. The hard Q is the vibration of those lower vocal cords where you get your Q, like seagull, gull, 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 gull. And then just make a sound. So that's the hardest one. But other than that, the T, hard T was good. And let's see, I think that was it. The the words that you're saying are coming in very, very good. I know the one of the favorite ones is Yaksomes. Wasnikit, I think, is another favorite one. Make is one of the least favorite. I say the favorite ones are the easy ones that you guys attack and it sounds really good. And the least favorite ones I call ones that you guys are sort of looking at it and getting a little bit worried about it. But like I've always said, that every person has their own speed in Ktunaxa. So you could say as slow as you want to say it. So yeah, other than that, that's been pretty good. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Oh, wait. Oh, that's okay. Yep. Go just one question. When we go through those words, do you guys have the English slide beside the words so you know what you're saying?
Oh.
Okay. Is there any way for next week we could have that sort of hidden? Or I know we had done that before. I was sure we had put the meaning on a separate paper, I think, that you sent out.
Yeah, we did previously. I can resend it again as soon as we're done.
Yeah. Either that or for next week, if we could have the that, and then everybody goes through all the words, and then the next slide could be the English equivalent.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that it's important for the connection between the English and the Ktunaxa to understand what is being said. So, okay, let's go on to numbers.
Alfred, could I ask a quick question? Hopefully quick.
Yeah.
With the in the next slide, actually with the numbers, when there is a in wumⱡaqquki with the N and apostrophe above it, how can you review how that is pronounced?
So wumⱡaqquki, it's a glottal stop N. Wumⱡaqquki, wumⱡaqquki, wumⱡaqquki,
So is it you stop a bit more sudden at the end of that N sound?
Yeah, it's with a sun. Can you hear the stop?
Mm-hmm.
With a sun, wumⱡaqqi.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sukni.
Okay, so let's do the numbers. With a sun, wumⱡaqqi. I want to hear the hard T. Okay, go ahead, start.
With
With
the
the sun.
sun,
With
wumⱡaqqi.
wumⱡaqqi.
With
With
the
the
sun, wumⱡaqqi.
us.
wumⱡaqqi.
With the sun. Womb.
Wista'afamun gasha.
Wistasan
Wum'aqa.
wum'aqa. Cha.
With
Wistasan
Wum'layiku.
Okay.
Just stop there. Let's go to 74. So if you think of with a sun womb, that's 70. Sa again, chata. Okay, so if you think in your mind, okay, 70 was 70. You close your eyes and you say, okay, 70 is with a sun womb, and then again sa 4 chata. So with a sun womb, sa chata. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to do? Yeah, that's how you want to break up that the numbers. So you go with the 70 with the 7 first, and then the womb, which is the 10, and then sa again 4. Okay, so let's go with 75.
With the sun, wum'layiku.
Good. Okay, let's go on to 76.
With the sun, wum'la'inisa.
With
Wistasan
With the sun, wum'la'wistasa.
wistasan wum'sha
Cha.
Wistasan
Tam wum'la'gaikitu.
kitru
Hachan
Uhata.
uha
Hatan. Uhata.
Wuchachanwo.
No.
Wuchachanwo.
chanwu
Uhachanwo. Uhachanwo.
Anybody have any questions or concerns with those numbers?
Oops, sorry.
Okay, so we're going on to the wum'aqqi. So the only new word you've heard here is wum'aqqi or wum'aqqi. 80 and then 10. Okay, go ahead.
wuha chanwu
wum'aqqi.
wuha chanwu
Wum'la'az. Wum'la'gatsa.
Okay, continue on. 86.
Wumħata.
Wumħatta.
Wumħata. Mufla. Wuħata. Wuħata. Wushu. Aikitu. Kai itwunhu.
Kai kit wunwo.
Kai itwunhu.
Good. So if I asked someone, if someone would tell me, how would you say number 54?
Yeku wumsum.
Hacha.
Go hacha.
Yekun wum ta chata. So you go 5 and then 10 and then 4. Yekun 5, wu 10, and then sa chata. So I'm just I call that the Ktunaxa way of thinking, the Ktunaxa brain, because you have to go into that space where you have to look at the number in your mind and say how you're going to say it. So, okay, let's go to the next slide. Now we are going to get into the insects. Okay, let's start with spider. I'm just going to call a name and you guys will have to say it.
Nukinka.
Fly,
Innocent.
in this end.
Listen.
Okay, in this end is the big horsefly, the ones that bite pretty good during the summer.
Yes.
Okay. Bee,
You what?
you what?
You are.
One interesting thing with this bee is that Yua means what? Go away. Yua,
Yeah.
that means go away. So Yuwat is a good way to remember that. So you learn 2 words there. You learn be, Yuwat, and Yua means go away. Okay, ant,
Chuhuna.
Chohuna, Chohuna.
Huna.
Chohuna.
Hey, what about butterfly?
Kulilu.
Lilu.
Little.
Lilu.
Dragonfly.
Wachwick.
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 Wachwick. Okay, the last one is grasshopper.
Tawat.
Tihu.
Tawachiku.
Awachikho.
Tawachiku.
Tawachiku.
One of the interesting stories about the how our old Ktunaxa people were trying to figure words out for soy sauce, and so they called it the grasshopper spit. And I can't remember what that was called. I've been trying to learn that, but I have a hard time with the word for, they use in this, for this term for, grasshopper spit. So that's usually a joke when I'm teaching the language for people, and then we get onto the foods and some of the words that are old people use for some of the food. Some of it is not really that picturesque or delicious looking. Another example is our name for rice is the same word that is used for maggots. So because they looked at the rice, they thought they were little maggots, so they call them maggots. So that's why the Ktunaxa are so tough.
Mhm.
Okay, the next slide. Okay, let's go with lizard.
Kiski.
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 Snake.
Snoozum.
Newsome.
Knosam.
Nusa.
Frog.
Wata.
But toad.
Cuckoo.
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 Kuku.
And turtle.
Kaha.
Akach, and the tadpoles or minnows. Kikum. Okay. Any questions on that slide? And in the legends, wumⱡaqquki, I never heard too many legends when I was growing up, but I remember hearing that, some of the people, not too many of them would say, but they say, oh yeah, wumⱡaqquki was the grandmother to so-and-so. So wumⱡaqquki was I believe, the grandmother to a lot of different, like she was grandmother to Chickadee, and I think she was also grandmother to another character in the legends. But I can remember, I think it was
Doe?
yeah, it could be Doe. And there was also, I thought she was a grandmother to wumⱡaqquki,
Chipmunk.
human type. Yeah, chipmunk, Doe, and the wumⱡaqquki, who was, I believe, a young boy. So that was all I remember about wumⱡaqquki. So okay, let's go to the next slide. Hey, let's go to catfish.
Kakash.
So yeah, and that means has a beard or has whiskers. So yeah, and that, like you say, that interprets the thing with a beard or whiskers, the thing with whiskers. Okay, sturgeon.
Yes.
Jumbo. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 And the season now, back in the day when there was plenty, this was the season for going out. The people would all gather and go out and catch this fish, and they would bring them home as a little boy, I remember seeing them coming home in sacks. And that would be the okay, my mind just keeps on going around in circles here, trying to catch the English for so what fish is right now spawning for and right now it's is limited to
Burbot.
it's burbot, that's it, yeah. And that is, what word is that in Ktunaxa? It's one at the bottom on the left.
Oh,
That's the right. Left.
Ktunaxa.
Kosam. Yeah. Yeah, ling cod was the word I was looking for.
Oh,
Ling cod. Kosam.
Ktunaxa.
Kosam. Okay, and right up above it is the salmon, which is
Swak
mo. And in the right next to it is
Tuhus.
johos. And then the last, yeah, johos. And the last one will be trout.
Ghosted.
Roasted.
Okay, next one. Okay, so we have our favorite sound, which is what? What animal has that? Chachas. So the difference between chachas and chacha are the A's, the length of the A's. Chacha is the crow, chachas is the skunk. So let's say the skunk word now, chachas. Okay. The crow is chacha. Okay, so that's the difference between the two A, chachas and chacha. Okay, and up in the middle of the top is squirrel. Takat. And his cousin, we don't have kochats on there, do we?
No, we don't.
But you can make note of it. Takat and the kochat is the chipmunk. Takat and kochat. Kochat. Hard Q, U, sensine, A sensine, kochat. And takat. Okay, and to the left of him, of takat, is buffalo. Okay, does anybody know what kokos is, what it means?
Black.
Black
Black,
black
Yamo,
cow.
Cow.
Something, black cow. Yeah, black cow was it from last week?
We're cheating a little.
cow. and the Yamo, right now, a lot of our people refer to the beef cows or cattle, domestic cattle as Yamo. But back in the day, Yamo was for everything like deer, elk, anything that had cloven hoofs, they were all Yamo. So over the generations, that word started getting a little bit more enclosed and was getting to be a smaller meaning. So the goat is
Kayano.
Yano.
Kaya
Yeah.
nuku.
Cool.
Kaya nuku.
Yanoko. Yanoko.
Kaya nuku.
Yeah.
And if you go up the just before Crescent, if you go up the Goat River, way up there, you'll see the Yanoko Park, Provincial Park. Yanoko. Okay, and there is our trickster, who is the coyote.
Skin
Skin coat. Skin coat.
I don't know that should be just a small K, I think, not a hard K. Skin coats.
Skin coat.
Skin coats.
And he, in the legends, he's a main character, and he does good for us sometimes, for the people, and other times he gets himself into trouble. And the last one on that page is
Swap.
yeah, swat.
Swap.
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 Yeah, this one, you want to make that last glottal sound like very abrupt, like swat, swat.
Swap.
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 Good. Okay, next. The bottom left.
Knock you.
Q.
Knock you. Knock you.
You.
Knock you was the powerful character in our legends. Him and Skin Coats were buddies, and Knock you was I would say the guardian. He was a helper of Skin Coats. Skin Coats would get into trouble, and Knock you would come along. And at times, the thing with Knock you, he had the ability to revive Skin Coats, bring Skin Coats back to life. If he got into trouble and he got killed or he died from being silly and stupid, Knock you would come along and see, and he'd talk to him, even though he was dead, he'd talk to him. And there's one legend goes that he'd seal him down and he says, "Oh, you probably deserve to be the shape you're in." So he continued on doing his journey, and then a year later he came back and revived Skin Coat. So Knock you. So the middle top is mouse. Inchuk. Yeah. And Inchuk, this wasn't planned, but I'm sort of going into some of the legends. Inchuk, the ones, when you drive to Cranbrook and you go by Wausau and you continue on, just before Fort Steele, there's that lake. And there's those big rocks. There's big rocks there, and there's big rocks also on the reserve. If you go through the LD Ranch Road and come out at the resort casino down there at St. Eugene's, along that road and along the road going just before Port Steele, there are those big rocks, and those ones at both those places were where the mice had a fight amongst themselves. And the character in the bottom here, on the bottom right, is the moose. And how do you say that?
It's not cool.
Not cool.
Ktunaxa. So the legend about the mice battle was because of him. Ktunaxa, they had some of the other animals were hunting, so they wounded Ktunaxa, and he took off from around where the somewhere around where the mission is, the St. Eugene's, and then ran up and over the top of the big hill there, heading north. And when he finally died, they were cutting him up, and the mice were told, "You come along, and we will give you his fur for your bed, for your little beddings for when you have the young ones." So all the mice went there, and so what happened was the littlest mouse got the most fur, and there was some of them didn't like that, so they got into a big fight. And the rocks, according to legend, are their clothes that the mice had on, because they were fighting and they were ripping their clothes off. And that some of the mice had their noses pulled long, like stretched out long. Others had their ears bit off, and others had their tail bit off. And so the story goes that that's how all our different kind of mice came to be, was from that legend. And then the interesting part of that story is the there's hoodoos or clay banks on the left side as you're going down to the bottom of the reservation there, to the lower houses, and there's a hole in the clay bank. They call it hoof print of Ktunaxa, because when he went to get on top of that, his foot went and cut that hole out, and they kept going. And then also Rabbit had his home there, and he heard all the commotion as the chase was heading north. He heard all the commotion, so he popped up out of his hole, and he's looking north. And I've seen one picture, one of the members in took that picture of him, and I'd heard about it, but I'd heard that he was up there looking north, but someone got a picture of him, and it's a really good photo of him. I'll have to see if I can find that. But that's the story of the mice, and those big rocks are the mice clothing when they were fighting, and they were getting ripped off. So all those big rocks resemble that. So that just sort of fit into this evening session. Wasn't planned, but that's just the way it worked out. So the next on the left is
Nope, cool.
Oh.
Ktunaxa.
Nope.
And the last one on that slide is horse.
Extension.
Ktunaxa. So Ktunaxa is dog. Okay. Chasin.
Hartin.
So
Passion.
Hartin.
Asa Chasin is the
Chasin.
elk dog.
Uh,
Elk dog. Asa Chasin.
Hartin. Hartin.
Gashgahatin.
Hartin.
Okay, next slide. The this the antelope
Nistup.
nistok
Nishtu.
nistok. That's a hard one with the hard K and the P on the nistok.
Nistup.
And the one with the donkey.
Rishquat.
Squat.
What?
With squat means, yeah, that means big ears. With what?
Quick squat. Quick squat.
With squat.
And then we have the rabbit.
And
Yeah.
Yan.
Pianu.
Uma.
Una.
Yanukuna.
Somna. Yanok somna.
Yanukuna. Yanukuna.
No.
One thing about our legends is that he is the only animal that had no gifts. He had no powers because he was being very, very selfish, and he wanted to have the greatest power out of everybody. So every time the creator, who was giving out all the powers, every time he would offer him a power, he said, no, I don't want it. So the creator would give it to someone else. So and it ended up that when he was the last one and there was no power left. So some of our southern Ktunaxa people, I never heard the story, but then they have legend saying that he has a song which is in our the powers were given, and with each power was a song that they were given. That was the power of the animal. So when the rabbit, he didn't end up with any, so he made up his own. And I haven't heard it, but I hear it's really comical. So when when greater society says, yeah, you want rabbit's foot is good luck, for the Ktunaxa, that he's the only one that didn't have any power. So okay, so the next to his left is
Pu'us.
Os. Yeah, and that's basically a Ktunaxa version of pussycat. Os. And then we have next to that, we have the grizzly bear. Salsa.
Salsa.
And then in the bottom, we have two words for weasel.
Meyuk.
Ikatita.
Ikatita.
Mayuk
Yes.
and ikatitas. Ikatitas.
Titas.
Ikatitas.
And the
Titas.
Ika, the I raised out KA on its own is our word for Sasquatch. Ika. So Ika Titas.
Titas. Titas.
And the reason why there's two words there is one for the picture you see there, he is in a summer suit. So we, Ktunaxa would say, call him Ikatitas. And he's got a summer suit. And Mayuk was the weasel in the wintertime where he only had the black tail and the little, you could see little eyes, like the black of his eyes. So the Mayuk that's in this picture is so well hidden. You can see his tail right by the last barred L there in the bottom at the end of Ikatitas, right? And see just the tip of his tail. But he's so white you can't see him there. And he's a little shy, so you can't see his eyes because he's looking away from the camera. That was my joke for tonight here. So okay, next slide. Okay, the middle top, the hummingbird.
No.
No.
Taxes.
Ja.
No, no, Noctaxis. Noctaxis.
No. Taxes. Taxes.
Okay, and then just below him is
Catch.
Guts. Now I haven't quite figured out the different woodpeckers. We've got some names for different ones, but according to the our so-called dictionary, it doesn't really give you definitive type of woodpecker guts is. So we're not too sure. We just put this picture of this woodpecker on there. And then the other one, the woodpecker to the left, is there's two types of woodpecker there, but both of them have the red head. So the first one is Yamakbash, and the other smaller woodpecker is Kupok. Yeah, Kupok. So the Yamakbash, I learned this not too many years ago, but one of the elders that was around at the time called Yamakbash the big black woodpecker that he makes a lot of noise just before a storm comes. So she called him the weather bird. Whenever he would make noise, you knew it was going to rain. So Yamakbash was the weather bird, and Kupok was a smaller woodpecker. I wanted him to be on this slide because remember 2 weeks ago we talked about Nana, or was it last week? Nana. So we said Kupok Nana. What would that mean?
Little.
Yeah, little woodpecker. So Kupok Nana is our word for chainsaw, a power saw. Ktunaxa. So I try and use the different words to add on to your vocabulary. So kupok is the little redheaded woodpecker, and Ktunaxa is a chainsaw. Okay, on the far right bottom is
Usak.
Usa.
wusak.
Usak.
Wusak
Usak.
means long legs, long legs. Wusak, wo, and then sak. And the sak comes from the word for leg, aksak. And it's either a crane or not a crane,
Heron?
yeah, blue heron or some kind of a heron. I know there's a couple of words for heron, but I'm not too sure. Again, in the confusion of the writing of the language, he wasn't very specific whether it was the same word he was talking about or there was two different birds. Okay, above wusak is the ptarmigan, and here he's got his winter clothes on, but he was always called one word, like we use only one word for him,
Yes.
and that is
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes, ga, yes, ga.
Yes.
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 Okay, the last person that said, if you put your tongue tip to the bottom of your bottom teeth and top of your lower gum, yes, ga, yes,
Yes.
ga,
Yes.
Yes.
yes, ga. And then that'll eliminate your S sound. So yes, ga.
Yes.
Nope. Nope.
And the last one is the loon. Two words for the loon.
Nope.
Sacha.
No, cocaine and sacha.
Can.
Kuchen. Sacha.
So usually the easiest thing to do is learn the easiest sounding word. So sacha.
Mhm.
Okay, go to 16. Okay, let's go with the top one. Yeah, where the arrow is for bald eagle.
Kunsan. Kunsan.
So aknok susam. If you think of your color white, the color white is gamnokso. Gamnokso, so that's where the nook comes from. Nook and or nukso, sorry. That's where nukso comes from the color white. And sam comes from the word for head, aksam. So then the ak or the I'm going to say would probably mean has a white head. Aknoksam.
Susam.
So probably a good exercise would be to write underneath there the color for white and the word for akram. I've been doing that with my other group so that they can see where this word came from. Okay, next to it is the blue jay.
Kukuski.
Guguski.
Kukuski.
Kukuski.
Guguski.
Guguski. Guguski.
And the next one is
An.
An. An.
an. And some of our people, or like sometimes we're sort of getting out of the habit of it, and I've been trying to bring it back. And that was, they would watch people, and if there was a characteristic that they had similar to a bird or animal, they would nickname that person that. And we had two generations of an. We had the generation that just laughed, and then we had my generation. In those two generations, the grandfather of the latest an was called an, so he received that name from his mom as a nickname, an. So that is magpie. So robin is
Chiku.
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 chickgo. Chickgo. And when I was learning the language, I don't know what I told you guys before, but when I was learning the language, I could not make out why it was called chickgo, because to me it was just two sounds. Like there's two sounds for you guys right now, like chickgo. And so I asked the elder that was teaching us, I said, because I'm always digging in down a little bit deeper than most people do. So I asked her, what does that mean? And I'm trying to relate that to learning, having a robin in my mind and trying to figure out what was this word describing. And what this word describes, chick, means to break up, to fall apart, to crack. Go is relating to heat. So to crack from the heat. And I said, okay. And then she told me it was the bird, the robin's nest. You find an old robin's nest that's been abandoned, you'll see that, chickho or chickgo. So it was dried out and cracked. So that's where the robin got his name. Okay, the next one to that is duck.
Kayak.
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 Yak.
And that is a more common term for all ducks, domestic and wild. Yaksa. And then the last one on there is our little friend, the chickadee.
Mich.
Kakas.
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 Kakas. Kakas.
Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so what are you going to drink?
Kapsin.
Inch.
Kinch.
Has.
Kus.
Kapsin.
Kapsin.
Kinchas ikos.
Kapsin. Kinch. Puppy.
So in the Ktunaxa thinking, it's Captain, what can't you has will equal drink? So what you will drink is how that sentence broke up. So we've got 4 different choices. They're going from the photo for the pictures. Ktunaxa is the juice in the picture. And then the next one would be what? The water bottle is what?
Naputik.
Napituk.
Pito.
Pitu.
Yeah.
Napitu.
And if you hear, also, most people now will use wumⱡaqqu. Wumⱡaqqu. I think it's in one of our slides also. Wumⱡaqqu is water also. That's what most people are using now. Now, pitok is spring water. And then the next picture is a cup of coffee.
Copy.
Copy.
Yeah,
Copy.
coffee. We have 2 words for coffee. So we gave you the easier one. The other one was a little bit harder to remember, but all the younger generation, when they're learning like just words, that's a word we teach them for coffee, is coffee. And the milk
Chu.
is
Chu-
Chu'u,
wumⱡaqqu.
chu'u,
chu-
chu'u.
And that is also the word for the human mammary gland, the tits. One of the my nephew, when he was young, he was like his mom always, my sister always used trying to teach some words. And one time they were in a very serious gathering, and there were so many people in there that they had to be. There was a small group of them in a little like a closet kind of thing where there was room only in there for them, and a mouse came out, and if you remember the word for mouse, right? Anybody remember the word for mouse?
Insu.
Yeah, inchuk. So his mama taught him the word for mouse. And in that same room was an old elder. She, was a very fluent speaker. And my nephew, the mouse came out and ran across, like on the floor in that little room. And my nephew hollers, "Cho, cho, cho, cho." And they all look at him. He's pointing at the mouse. And the old lady laughed because he was saying, tits, 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 or milk, milk, milk. And instead of a mouse, mouse, mouse. And so the rest of that evening, every time she would look at him, she would just burst into giggling away. And it was a pretty, like a serious thing they were at. And it was funny because in their little room, when that happened, they all burst out laughing. And the rest of the people in the bigger room were wondering what they were laughing about in there. So that's a good example of getting words mixed up. And that's okay because it can be funny. So, okay, so are you hungry?
Kinuhas.
And
Yes.
Quien huas?
Ua.
Kinuhas.
And I am not hungry.
Ei.
Waha.
Ua.
Uka.
Wasni.
Uwan.
Wasni.
Waha hoka huasni. No, I'm not hungry. Notice that when you ask a question, there's the K in there, like gin,
Mhm.
and then you look in the answer, it's ho. So now what is yes, I am hungry?
Hey,
Hey.
Wasni.
Wasni.
E ho no wasni.
Eh,
Nawasi.
wasni.
Yeah.
Hey.
And the N in the beginning of that ho no wasni, I'm not too sure why. Sometimes the N is in there, and it almost seems it makes the ho wasni flow a lot better to ho no wasni. Now, I refuse to look into the linguistic explanation of that. So I try and tell people that a lot in some of our languages, especially down the speakers from down the state, they use a lot of the ends in front of the verbs. So you'll see that, are you thirsty? That's another example. So what is, are you thirsty?
Can
Nuk.
be
Nuk.
Suma.
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 Nuk. Nuk.
Gin, ok, nok, ok, nok, soma.
Nuk.
Ken
Suma.
uk. Nuk. Suma.
Money.
Suma.
So you've got the hard K and the hard Q in that word. So that would be a good word to practice. Ok, ok, nok, soma. Ok, nok, soma.
Nuk.
Nuk. Suma.
Suma. Uk. Nuk. Suma.
Yes. So yes, I am thirsty.
Hey.
Hey.
Nuk.
Nuk. Sum. Sumani.
Sumani.
Oh, nok, nok, somani.
Nuk.
Um,
Nuk. Sumani.
Sumani.
Waha.
so no, I am not thirsty.
Waha.
Waha. Huka. Huk.
Money.
Nuk.
Sumani.
Nani. Ga.
Waha, hoka, hok, nok, somani.
No.
Huk. Nuk.
Waha. Huga.
Na.
Hukunuk. Nuk. Money.
Here is a snack.
Nasnini.
Nasnini.
Kikna.
Kikna. Tes.
Push. Ktunaxa.
So post Ktunaxa means what? Any guesses?
Who I.
We will what? What do you do with a snack?
Eat.
Yeah, we'll eat. Yeah. Nas nene iknatates post Ktunaxa. So let us eat. Okay, any questions on that one?
How is Alfred? How is that? How do you say that sort of translates to English directly, like you had done with other phrases? For
Okay,
the
that
structure?
one, nas nene, here is nas, here nene is iknatatis, snack. Iknat, ik again is in there to eat. The hard, now I hope I don't lose you guys, but the hard K, whenever you have a thing, right, like a verb in Ktunaxa, whenever you change a verb to a noun, some, you put a K in front of it. And the only reason why the K has got a hard, it's a hard K is because the ikne, to eat, has the glottal stop. If you look in the bottom, Ktunaxa, you'll see the glottal. So in the written form of that glottal goes to the K and makes out a hard K. Ktunaxa. So it's to let us eat the now I'm not too sure about natasis or natatis. The is and the hard K make it a thing. So I know that's a snack. It might mean, let's have a little bit to eat or a little small amount to eat is what I'm thinking that it means. But I never did look into breaking up that word. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. And whoosh is we?
Push is a plural future. Let us eat. Push.
Thank
So
you.
you'll see here we have who. If you look up at waha, kinhuas, he who nawasni,
Mhm,
I am hungry,
mhm.
which means it's present.
Oh,
And
get it.
so when you go horse, you add the Bard L,
Mhm.
then it makes it future. And that is usually a session of the teaching that I found with the bigger group that comes way towards the end, like after they learn ho and hut and hon. The horse comes after they understand, the other ones, like the ho and the, go, ku also is a replacement or equivalent to ho. So usually I don't go into talking about the horse, but that indicates a future tense. So basically, let us eat, kind of, or we should eat, is what that horse Ktunaxa means. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we have, right down there at the bottom, we have carrots, potatoes, and onions. And the cent sign is and.
No.
Chna,
Shna.
what,
Shna.
what,
What?
Gouache.
Chna, ch,
What?
wata,
no,
Gouache.
aquat, aquat.
aquat,
Nichna, ch, wata, aquat.
Nixna wata kuwas. Nixna wata kuwas.
What?
Was.
Chicken, those are chicken strips.
chicken.
Chicken.
That's easy.
Yeah,
Chicken.
that one, you have to Ktunaxa
Eyes.
eyes that chicken. chicken, chicken, chicken.
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 Because we had no chickens, no domestic chickens, they just adopted that to the old people when they heard, because they couldn't say the word chicken like right away, so they just used the word chicken, chicken.
And
Same as gasoline. They heard the term gasoline, so they just used gasoline, gasoline. Okay, so what about candies?
Kagakchi. Kagukchi.
Fish, kokchi.
Kagukchi.
Yeah, I'm glad some of you are trying the combination between the K and the Q, the KQ combination, because I wasn't expecting you to do that, but kakchi, kokchi. Kokchi,
access.
kokchi is sugar. Kokchi is sugar. And kakchi means colored or painted sugar. Kakchi kokchi, painted sugar. That's candy. Okay, sandwich,
Captain.
and it's really we're going to go with a K, but it should be a Q sound. But kaya kawo hakinis kapsin, kaya kawo hakinis kapsin, kaya kawo is the middle, hakinis, something put in, and kapsin is what or something. So our word for sandwich really means something that's put into the middle. Kaya kao hakinis kapsin.
Gau Hakinish Kapsen.
Okay. What are you going to eat?
Capson.
In
Right below that, we have fruit. Cook it. Cook it. Leftovers. Yeah, and that sort of breaks down to something that couldn't be finished eating, sort of. Katscha means things that we're not able to eat. Like when you get full. so
Leftovers?
That's what, yeah, so that's Ktunaxa. That describes that the things that you couldn't eat after you were full kind of idea. Ktunaxa. Okay, any questions on that?
If I may quickly, Alfred, we were asked for the word for vegetables as a blanket statement. I
Okay,
couldn't,
the vegetables would be the same as leaf Ktunaxa.
sukni.
Yeah, so lettuce and that I guess there's the Ktunaxa, and then there's also the root vegetables, and I can't remember the word for that. Like the word for parsnip would be would be the word for the root vegetables. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, banana.
Tawisku.
With who?
And with who?
The story on the word for banana, tawisku, means something that is hanging down. So when our people went into the stores back in the day, they had because we didn't have a lot of sugar tasting foods, they liked the fruit and they liked sugar, same as nowadays. So when they went into the store, they saw the bananas would be displayed with them hanging down. So that's what tawisku means, something that's hanging down. And one of our elders had gone down to where there were banana trees, and she looked up at them and she chuckled because she said, "Oh, I wonder what the old people would think about it when they realize that the bananas grow upwards rather than down on the tree." So that's just a little story about the whistle. So juice.
With who?
Couscous.
Nuskus.
Akoknoskos. So dried meat.
Wachna.
What's gonna? And that's usually a good word to learn because that's one of the tastiest foods that we make. We dry meat over a fire with certain wood, and it has a really good flavor. So what's gonna? And usually back in the day when they were doing all the traveling back and forth, whether they're on foot or with horse, that was the way of transporting the let's say the buffalo from the prairies back to here. They would dry all the meat, process all the meat, dry it up so that it was more manageable to pack back. And one of the things I've never ever seen any of our, let's say the last, my generation and the younger generation, is that they would never put what's into a pot and rehydrate it, which was our way of utilizing the dried meat. Usually when the what's is made, it is like candy to anybody that really likes it, and they eat it like right away. So yeah, that's what's. So fruit is
Akuk sinik.
It.
Akuk
Cook,
sinik.
it. Cook,
Yeah.
cook, it.
Seals.
So like, again, when I talk about the language writing, when you look at the juice, Ktunaxa, that really, to me, that should say cook from the fruit, be spelled cook, and then nuskos, the kos indicates a liquid, Ktunaxa. So, fruit liquid would be what that would be, but the linguist wrote it as Ktunaxa. So I would question that as I'm learning about the language. And I know that one of the elders, we lost her last winter or early winter. She said that there were a lot of mistakes in the our so-called dictionary. So, okay, the hot dog.
Aguk.
Tea.
Cookie.
Akuk tea.
Cook a cook
Cook.
tea.
Tea.
Akuk tea.
That is the same word as we have for intestine. Cook a.
Ew.
Accurate.
That's why I say you have to have a pretty strong stomach to be a Ktunaxa.
Mhm.
Okay, soup.
Nagpuk.
Nagpuk.
Cheese.
Nakpok.
Nagpuk.
Oh,
Nagpuk.
So the next one, peanut butter and jam.
Yakach.
Catch.
Yatap. Yatap.
Catch.
That's up.
Touch.
Yata.
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 Yatap.
That's
Yata.
yet up.
Yatap.
And cheese
Cheese.
is
Cheese.
Tis.
so there is that is for cheese, which is a solid, and then you have the cottage cheese, which we have a different word for that. So, okay, next slide. We're sort of running a little, just about over time here. So, Hoses ikne means, anybody want to guess? I sort of went backwards on that.
I will eat.
So, who is I? Yeah, I will eat. Okay, Hoses ikne,
Horses.
Fish. Ikni.
or I am eating. Okay, I am eating. Hoses ikne, I am eating. Okay, the first one is crackers.
Akin muk nana.
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 Akin muk
Nana.
nana.
Muk nana.
No, no. No.
And this word akin muk nana is our word for little clay banks. And so with our language group on Facebook, I put out there trying to challenge our people to get an interest in the language. And I said, I need help with trying to get, photos or descriptions or anything to help me with understanding why y'all people called crackers little clay banks. So just trying to get that interest in our people to study the language. But it really, they wanted to give the instant answer, and rather than thinking about it and going around and investigating. So that taught me that somehow our Ktunaxa people are again of the rush, we call them the rush minded, that they want to give an answer right away and then drop the subject instead of carrying it on and investigating. So, okay, the cereal.
Ktunaxa.
Ninguha.
Nen hojas. Nen hojas. Yeah, I never broke that up, but it means from the N-I-N, most people call the pop end, the hard end, the glottal end, I should say. That N-I-N, I've learned over the last 3 months that means plural. That's a plural of whatever tick, the tick, and could be a popping. Remember tick go? So I'm thinking tick nen gojas means the plural of all those things that are in the grains have been popped or broken. And then gojas is the thing you eat kind of thing. So here we have the candy, oh no, this is dessert. Or just ikis. That's your pastries and your cakes. Just ikis. The sugared sugared thing eating.
Yes.
Sugared food, I guess it would be called. The sugared food is that kokches ikis. Okay, macaroni,
Ktuki.
toki. That means the thing that is slippery. When you eat macaroni, I guess to them it was just slide down like slippery. Kastoki. Kastoki also means right now where it's icy, that's kastoki. Astoki. Astoki means it is in verbal or oral talking. Kastoki, if I said that means is it icy out there? Is it slippery out there? Because of the K in the front. In this case, the K means it's a noun, but the astoke ne, you add the ni in the end, same as okay ne, asne. Astoke ne means it is slippery. Okay, the apple. Kanuhos nana, we talked about that as little red. And the peas, aknana. Ak is shells, so little shells, aknana. So because that looked like the little pellets, I guess back in the day when they had the musket, I guess it would be. That's where they got that. They seen the musket little pellets, and so they saw the piece, so they called it aknana, little shells. Okay, the watermelon.
Maga.
Hamaga.
Maka.
Maka.
Ktunaxa. That has something to do with green. Okay, the color green. Because you've got kako
Aku.
in there.
Ha.
Okay, the grapes.
Kakuk.
Aku.
No.
Kakuk. Yeah, kakuk.
Kakuk.
Final slide is basically your homework. Any last language or land-based questions you have, email them to Mara, and we will do our best to answer them next week. And again, next week is going to be the last week. Has there been any decision, Mara and Duncan, on how we're going to deal with the recordings? How long they will last on the?
We spoke previously, and what we would come up with is that we can keep these private. So just anybody that has been a participant in this session will have a link to them. So we can keep them up a little longer for people who need to go over them, but they will not be able to be accessed by anyone else.
Okay, that's good. So any questions from tonight? I know we're a little bit longer than usual, but that's just the way it went.
And just to clarify, so next week is off, right, for the family day, and then the 28th would be the last.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no.
That's only 2 weeks' time.
And I don't think it's not going to be a big intimidation. Sophie's a great lady, and she'll love to hear us all talking. She'll be very proud of you all.
Oh,
So just practice really hard in the next 2 weeks is what you're saying.
Everything you've ever done before.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, thanks, Sukni, again for everything.
Sukni.
Okay, okay, so just lay it.
basic
Kismet.
chit-chat.
Putni.
Okay.
Fishmeat.